George Strait finally addresses Willie Nelson's reputation at the age of 73. Born George Harvey Strait Starr on May 18, 1952, in Petite, Texas, George Strait spent his childhood in the rural community of Pearsall. Strait's genuineness, molded by his modest upbringing, would come to characterize his career. His music had an authenticity that millions could relate to because it was rooted in his upbringing on the family ranch and the strong work ethic he inherited from his parents. The traditional country music of performers like Hank Williams, Merle Haggard, and George Jones rekindled his interest in music. Though he had previously developed an interest in music when playing in a garage band as a teenager, he joined the United States Army without delay upon finishing high school in 1971 and was stationed in Hawaii. He had his first taste of performing in front of live crowds while serving when he joined the Army. Sponsored band Rambling Country. Norma, his high school love, was also met while he was serving in the Army. Their solid marriage, which they tied the knot in 1971, would serve as a linchpin in his life, supporting him while he followed his passions. After Strait left the Army in 1975, he went to what is now Texas State University's, formerly Southwest Texas State, to get a degree in agriculture and continue his music career on the side. He took the lead vocals in the band Ace in the Hole, which played in honky-tonks around town and gained a dedicated fan base over time. In 1981, Strait made his big splash in the country music industry with the release of his debut single, Untold. The song swiftly rose to the top of the charts, marking his entrance. While many of his contemporaries embraced pop, country fusion, Strait remained faithful to the classic honky-tonk sound, which featured fiddle, steel guitar, and straightforward yet impactful songwriting. Because of his dedication to preserving traditional country music, he became a prominent figure in the 1980s neo-traditionalist country movement, which appealed to those who missed the sound of classic country. Amarillo by Morning, Check Yes or No, Oceanfront Property, All My Exes Live in Texas, and All My Exes Live in Texas are just a few of the famous songs that he would release over the years. George Strait's career accomplishments are unparalleled by performers of any genre. More than 60 of his songs have peaked at #1 on the Billboard country charts, putting him in a league of his own, exceeding even the likes of Elvis Presley and the Beatles. One of the best-selling artists of all time, his records have sold over 100 million copies worldwide. Among his many accolades are several from the Academy of Country Music, ACM, the Country Music Association CMA, and the Grammys. In 2006, he was further cemented as a giant of the country music genre by being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Nevertheless, George Strait's admiration extends beyond his statistics to his humility, grace, and consistency. Strait stood steadfastly by his roots, in contrast to many entertainers who follow fads, and the devotion of his admirers spanned decades. He was more concerned with letting his music do the talking than with seeking publicity or doing interviews. Dressed in jeans, a cowboy hat, and boots, he exuded an air of unassuming confidence and sincerity on stage, which only served to increase the audience's fondness for him. At the conclusion of his 2013 Cowboy Rides Away tour, which was his farewell tour, almost 100,000 fans flocked to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, to bid him farewell, setting a new national record for concert attendance. Resilience on an individual level has also been a hallmark of Strait's life. The 1986 automobile accident that killed their daughter Jennifer was a tremendous tragedy for him and Norma. Strait decided to cease giving interviews following that tragic event out of respect for their privacy. However, he persisted in expressing himself musically. He and his family eventually created the Jennifer Lynn Strait Foundation to commemorate his daughter. The foundation provides support to children's charities in San Antonio, Texas. His modest generosity and desire to repay others shone through in this selfless deed. George Strait is still a major player in country music, even if he is only semi-retired. Even now, he only records when absolutely necessary, does live performances on occasion, and serves as an inspiration to aspiring country music musicians. His music and example of how to negotiate stardom with integrity have been cited as important influences by many modern singers, including Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, Chris Stapleton, and Luke Bryan. Like his music, George Strait's personal life has always been characterized by unwavering devotion to family and friends. A life-altering choice he made in December 1971 showed how deeply devoted he was to the woman who had won his heart. Norma, Strait's high school sweetheart, and he eloped to Mexico. A decision that represented his carefree youth and the love that would sustain him for many years. The couple's passion had survived Strait's early career aspirations and the uncertainties of youth. They had known each other since they were teenagers in Pearsall, Texas. Despite his rising musical aspirations, Strait made it clear through his very personal and emotional marriage that family would always be his first priority. An important part of his life story, the elopement started a marriage that would weather fame's ups and downs with grace. Jennifer, a daughter, was born to George and Norma on October 6, 1972, just 1 year after they tied the knot. Though he was still establishing himself as a musician and serving in the U.S. Army, Strait's sense of purpose and responsibility was profoundly impacted by becoming a father at a young age. Jennifer made everyone in the house happy, and she was an invaluable companion to George and Norma while they brought up their family in Texas. George Harvey Strait Jr., or Bubba as he is commonly known, was born to the couple in 1981, nearly 10 years later, adding another member to their family. Even though Strait's career in country music was taking off at that point, he never wavered from his dedication to being a good husband and father. With Bubba's addition, the family was whole and Strait was able to enjoy both the fame and the familiarity of country music. On the other hand, the tragic summer of 1986 came for the Strait family in San Marcos, Texas on June 25, when their dear daughter Jennifer was killed in a terrible car accident. Her age was a mere 13 years. A devastating blow that changed the family's lives irrevocably was Jennifer's death. The unfathomable anguish that George and Norma went through with the loss of a child affected Strait deeply. His deep sorrow was obvious to those closest to him, despite his reputation for keeping his feelings hidden. Tragically, it also altered his outlook on life and gave his songs a more genuine quality, considering that his listeners frequently sensed the authenticity and anguish conveyed by his music. The family of Jennifer Strait made the courageous decision to remember her in a meaningful way, rather than let their sorrow overtake them. After Jennifer Lynn Strait passed away, her parents, George and Norma, started the Jennifer Lynn Strait Foundation to help kids in the San Antonio region. The foundation has evolved into a vibrant memorial to the brief yet profound life of Jennifer. To make sure that Jennifer's legacy was one of kindness, giving, and optimism, it used community outreach and donations to send money to youth programs, hospitals, and children's organizations. The foundation gave George and Norma a way to get over their grief and turn their story into an inspiration for other families going through tough times. The persistence of the foundation is a testament to the profound dedication of the Strait family to repaying the community that had been so generous to them. Throughout the years, George Harvey Strait Jr., better known as Bubba, was born into a family that valued hard work and perseverance, and he took after his father's competitive nature. When Bubba started competing in team roping events for the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, PRCA, he dove headfirst into the rodeo scene. Similar to how George's music career was defined by discipline, persistence, and resilience, so too was his enthusiasm for roping. Despite Bubba's preference for the arena over the stage, he did continue his schooling and earned a degree from Texas A&M University, a prestigious school that embodied the Strait family's work ethic and commitment to excellence. Seeing his kid perform at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo in 2006, one of the biggest and most famous rodeo events in the country, was a once-in-a-lifetime chance for George. Taking pleasure in his son's accomplishments was a rare opportunity for Strait to escape the limelight of his own illustrious music career. George deftly combined his roles as a doting father and a legendary country music artist when, just moments after cheering on Bubba in the arena, he took the stage to sing for thousands of fans. Two very different Texas traditions, rodeo and country music, came together in that one unforgettable moment, capturing the special bond between a father and son. Country music fans have looked up to George Strait for years because of his guarded demeanor. Strait has long been renowned as a guy of few words, allowing his music and consistent career to convey his thoughts and feelings, in contrast to many artists who frequently express their beliefs publicly. However, at the age of 73, the King of Country made the decision to speak frankly about Willie Nelson, a renowned figure in the genre, as he finally gave his long-awaited take on a man who became a cultural icon and shaped country music. Strait's voice reeked of humility, respect, and knowledge. When it came to music, Willie has always been one of those rare performers who truly embodied the songs he sang. Strait started speaking, his choices of words deliberate. His music has an authenticity that is impossible to mimic. Knowing that he has experienced that life makes you believe every word he sings. When he made this comment, Strait wasn't merely referring to Nelson's smash singles. What he was trying to say was that Willie Nelson's genuine charisma has endured for decades because of his unfiltered honesty. Strait holds Nelson in high esteem because, unlike many musicians, his charisma has always sprung from his authenticity and storytelling. According to Strait, he was never one to try to conform. Willie deviated from the norm since Nashville had its own style. I admire his bravery for doing that. Strait admitted a fact that many country historians have reiterated with this comment. Never one to conform, Willie Nelson blazed his own trail in the music business. From his unique voice and phrasing that challenged traditional rules to his departure from Nashville in the early 1970s to help pioneer the outlaw country genre in Texas, Nelson built himself a career by following his heart. Strait, who became famous for his adherence to classic country music, obviously saw Nelson as an ally in his struggle against inauthenticity and needless change. In addition, Strait was quite complimentary of Nelson's friendship and mentoring within the country music community. Willie has consistently supported other performers, according to Strait. Whether you were new to town or simply in need of some encouragement, he would make the effort to listen. His character is revealed by that. These remarks had extra weight because they came from Strait, an artist whose modesty has garnered praise. They demonstrated that beneath Nelson's celebrity, there has consistently been a spirit of giving, compassion, and kindness. It would be remiss of Strait not to include Nelson's impact on American society when discussing him. The image of Willie, Strait reflected, immediately comes to mind whenever one thinks about Texas. He is an integral component of this state, just like the soil. Anywhere he goes, Texas is by his side. It was particularly touching for Strait and Nelson, two patriotic Texans who helped define modern country music, to acknowledge Nelson as a living representation of their common hometown. In Strait's view, Nelson exemplified more than just artistic talent. He personified the resiliency, independence, and pride of Texas. Last but not least, Strait sprinkled his observations with an air of personal awe. It was a privilege to perform beside Willie. The fact that I am standing next to someone so extraordinary is a constant reminder of this. We count ourselves fortunate to have him because he is truly unique, both his own and the millions of listeners who still hold Nelson's music in high esteem, were conveyed by Strait in that comment. George Strait's remarks regarding Willie Nelson weren't mere platitudes, especially considering his age of 73. They were sincere expressions of gratitude from one legendary figure to another. Strait, who is not one to bask in public adulation, made it plain that, to him, Willie Nelson represents more than just country music. He also stands for the unwavering spirit of Texas, kindness, and artistic integrity.